Picture a door. You unlock this door with the key of imagination. Beyond it is a room that feels like a different dimension. A dimension of video games. A dimension of movies. A dimension of bullshit. You're moving into a realm of thought and idea. Into a land of two dudes making a podcast. You are in the minds of Tech and Fish. God damn it. Welcome to the podcast, everybody. It's in the minds of Tech and Fish. I'm one of your hosts, Tech.
And I'm the other one. Yeah.
Fish. Today on the podcast, we're going to be talking about
Anime.
That good old cartoons from Japan, America. Everyone's getting into the anime. You know how it
even Jaden Smith's getting into it.
Even Jaden Smith's getting into the. Oh God, we should have fucking made this podcast about that.
About Neo Yokio.
I haven't watched it. I refuse. I can't do it. I know you've watched like the first episode, right?
Part of it. I didn't even get through it all. It's bad. It's just like even the animation's just lazy. They try.
Well, no, I know because I watched a video over it because I kept seeing people talk about it and I didn't know what it was going to
like be about.
Yeah, I just knew it was a Jaden Smith anime, so I decided to watch a review over it. And they talked about how like they forget concepts they talked about, like it doesn't know what type of anime it's trying to be, and stuff like even though it's an American made. Well, it's not American made, but it's made for English speaking, for voiceover, but the mouth animations look like it's a Japanese anime that has been dubbed over English. Like the voices don't match whatsoever with what's actually supposed to be happening.
Even though like the main character's written as Jaden Smith.
Yeah. It's really fucking dumb. Also, side note, before we get too deep into this weeaboo discussion, we have new sound equipment. And if it doesn't sound any different than previously, that means I did a good job.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If it sounds better, he did an even better job.
I did an even better job.
But if it sounds like shit, blame him. It is all of his fault.
It's all my fault. The whole reason that I switched the audio equipment is actually so we can have more people on the podcast, more people watching movies with us and stuff like that.
We'll have more guests, guys. It's
hopefully, maybe.
Yeah.
We'll have to see who we can get. You'll probably never have heard of them. It'll probably be close friends.
No, we'll get Epic Meal Time. We'll get Foozy Tube. We'll get
Jake Paul. Definitely, he's on the list, way Jake, up there.
Yeah. We'll get Markiplier. We'll get PewDiePie. We'll get Jackson. We'll get the big trio of colored hair dudes. Yep. Well, wait, PewDiePie doesn't have colored hair. He has
white hair, silver hair. I don't know. I don't know. But anyways, we got new equipment so we can have more microphones. So, like, yes, we've had guests on the podcast previously, but they've had to share microphones, and the audio was honestly pretty atrocious.
Yeah.
So basically, that's what's happening. Is we're going to be we have more mics and more stuff that people can join us, watch more movies and all that. But that's about it about the audio topic. We'll probably talk about it more in movie talks and stuff like that because we just got it, and I'm gonna have to mention it for like 2 weeks.
Probably.
But anyways, back
guys,
to anime.
Well, thanks for watching.
Thanks for watching the podcast. Join us back next time where the second part of our anime discussion.
Yeah.
But anime. You've talked about this before. It was the last podcast episode when we had good old Dead Guy here. You talked about Naruto, and that's your favorite anime and the only anime you watch.
Well, not really. There are a lot of...
Don't lie to me. I know the truth.
I got a little list of anime that I watch. It's not a huge list, but I got my list. I really enjoy shit like Soul Eater. Have you?
I started watching Soul Eater, but voice crack, very nice. I started watching Soul Eater, but I never really got hooked on it. I don't know why. It seemed like something that I would like, but it was. I mean, you know how I am with like TV shows. I have to binge the entire thing, or I completely forget about it. It was one of those instances, and anime is really tough for me to watch, just because like. There's two types of animes in my opinion. There's mainstream anime and then there's just kind of anime. Just kind of anime, kind of anime is usually like 12 to 24 episodes long. Which, you know, with 20-minute episodes, I can do that in 2 days. That's fine. We're good. It's when you get into the mainstream anime like Naruto,
Bleach,
My Hero Academia, like all of those that have like are just growing and growing.
Yeah.
Where like Naruto has like what 500 episodes.
Shippuden has 500, and then the original has I want to say like 200 something. So altogether 700 episodes.
Yeah, and then Bleach has 370 something. So like that's
One
a lot
Piece
of shit to try to get.
Oh
yeah, One Piece
now.
is. We're not. Me and Fisher don't like One Piece. Let's get that out of the way.
Yeah.
We're not talking about that show on this episode of the podcast.
I have a question for you.
Yeah, of course.
I haven't watched this. It's been one of the bigger mainstream ones recently, but have you watched Attack on Titan? How do you feel about it?
Yes, I have watched the first season of Attack on Titan, not the second season. It's kind of just gore anime. In all honesty, I mean, for me, it was one of those things that I found entertaining just because of the action in it and stuff like that. But like, if you ask me like what the characters' names are, I got no clue. I just know one looked like Mo. Old school Mo when he had long hair.
I've seen like the first episode, and I really like the art style. The art
the art style is great
because it's just like, I don't know how to describe it. It's like really thicker lines than you normally see in like an anime.
Yeah, it's just kind of for me is that they crammed so much of the manga into the first season. That the whole reason the second season took so long to come out is because they had to wait for the manga to make more chapters for them to actually make more anime and stuff like that. So like I don't know. It's just like I like Attack on Titan, but it's not one of those things where like I'm gonna come back every single season. But I really haven't found any anime that I've done that with except for Bleach.
Yeah.
Which I started watching Bleach basically when the show ended. I don't actually remember when it ended. I think it was
talking
like 2009.
about my favorite show or my favorite anime, Breaking Bad. I started that right when it ended. Okay, that was side railing. Go back to what you were saying. I'm sorry.
But Bleach is like the one that I've watched every episode on, which you don't need to do. If you're gonna watch Bleach, there's like you can watch 2 arcs and be done with Bleach.
I've heard the first 2 arcs are about like the
the first 2 to 3 arcs are where you want to stay. You don't once you get past that, it gets real stupid.
See, my advice for people who want to get into Naruto who haven't, or just people that want to rewatch it for them from when they watched it when they were a kid, is like, I love Naruto. I love the main story of Naruto, but it has a lot of filler. It has.
Well, I think that happens in almost every anime. Even the short, like 12 episodes ones, you always have like one episode of filler, like before the finale and stuff like that.
I've seen a percentage though. 49% of Naruto is filler. 49% of Naruto is filler. There's so many. Because how they structure the show is they'll have a main arc, like your main story arc, and then they'll have a 10 episode filler arc, and then they do that back and forth and back and forth. So honestly, you can just, if you watch it on Crunchyroll, it like separates it instead of seasons.
Yeah, you told me this before. It like separates the actual story versus like the filler and stuff, doesn't it? Or it separates the arcs.
Yeah, instead of like doing it by season, they just do by arcs. So you can just skip all the filler arcs, and which is what I recommend doing if anyone wants to watch Naruto. It would cut your time in half. And
then I think the most recent that we've both started watching was My Hero Academia. Well, not recently. We started that back in like August. I've kind of fallen off keeping up with it.
Yeah,
I'm kind of just letting episodes stockpile and stuff like that.
I've just been behind. I watched it the first season after it was dubbed. So I started that. So I'm still kind of getting used to the
that's my big thing is I don't usually like to watch stuff dubbed. I usually like to watch it with the original audio with subtitles. There's a few that I can deal with having the dubbed audio, but
we were talking about this right before we started recording, but like kind of similar to why we wouldn't want to do a show with subtitles on Movie Talks.
Yeah, like why we wouldn't want to do like an anime on Movie Talks or an anime movie on Movie Talks without it being dubbed over.
You just
for the sole fact is that we'd have to be reading while trying to talk and like commentate over what's happening in the movie.
And I like to
and
do
I
that.
don't know about you, but my brain's a little stupid.
Which is why I kind of like why I prefer dub over sub, so I can look on my phone if I like get a text and still listen to what's going on and
I get that.
understand the story.
I completely understand. It's just most of the time I just don't like the English dub. I don't like the voices.
I get that. There's some shitty dubs.
There are some real bad dubs. I can talk about what I've been watching recently. I have this lovely Chrome bookmarks tab that's just anime. I've been watching this anime called Blood Blockade Battlefront and Beyond. I just actually finished the original season, and Beyond is the second season or whatever. But it's basically about this alternate like world, like this monster-filled world that breaks into New York or some basically a town that looks like New York, and it creates this like misty void around it. So like it only affects New York. But because of that, it's like it's a co-dominant relationship with humans and monsters. And like you can go into their world, which is called the overworld. And it's like this completely like decrepit like monster realm and stuff like that. And everyone intertwines. And each episode's literally just the main characters are part of this association called Libra, which is basically like when shit hits the fan, they come in to fix it. And each episode's just a new thing. A new villain coming in and wrecking havoc and having to defeat them. But it's really weird because the main character is kind of the damsel in distress of the series.
That's weird.
It's this guy. His name is Leonardo Watch. That's his name. Leonardo Watch. And he has this ability called the God Eyes, and it basically allows him to like control other people's visions, see stuff that other people can't.
Oh, he has the Sharingan.
Yeah. Oh God, I hate this series now. But I mean, it's interesting. I'm not like too into it, but that's what I've been watching recently, along with good old Food Wars Season 3. Food Wars Season 3. That's the other one, which I absolutely loved. Food Wars Season 1 and 2. I know you haven't watched them, correct?
I haven't.
You weren't too into the concept of people having orgasms after eating food.
Yeah, it was just felt very.
No, in all honesty, it's
well, too hentai-ish, too like I don't know, too fan servicey is what I should really say.
Well, it's not even fan servicey because it doesn't happen all that often. Like I've been watching Season 3. And it maybe has happened twice. For the most part, it's
still
like
too many orgasms around food for me.
Well, it's okay. I don't know how to describe it because to me, I don't get a sexual vibe from the scenes that it happens in.
That's weird.
Like it like because the thing is like they'll have their like reaction. They'll be like, oh, and like their clothes will pop off. But then the thing is that it almost always will cut up to a close-up of either the food or their face where they describe the food. So they'll be like, the richness of the noodles mixed with the bitterness of the soy sauce mixed within the broth. That's obviously a bone marrow man. Like they'll go into like in-depth discussion of the flavors of the food. It's not like they just have like a fucking orgasm and they're like convulsing on the floor. They'll like they go into like the deep essence of the food and like what makes the food work and stuff like that, which in all honesty I find hilarious and quite entertaining. Maybe it's because I love to cook. I love I love the aspect of like learning new stuff and like I love to cook and feeding people just and seeing their reactions to my food. I guess that's where it comes from.
I really enjoy that as your roommate.
I guess that's where that aspect, like why I love it so much. But I would recommend to anyone. One, because like you could actually get food recipes from this fucking show to try out and try to cook.
I know that you love like getting recipes from things you watch because you recently bought a cookbook.
Oh yeah, I recently bought a cookbook from the YouTube channel Binging with Babish. That literally it's a cookbook that's made from recipes from movies and TV shows.
Guys, I honestly check out this dude's channel because like
it's so entertaining.
It's so entertaining and it's just so like well done.
Well, he just did a crossover with another one of my favorite cooking channels, You Suck at Cooking.
Oh really?
Yeah.
God damn it.
So that was pretty entertaining. But yeah, like those are the two that I've been watching recently. I probably need to start catching up on My Hero Academia just because I'm sure it's been like a month or two since I've actually watched it. So it's probably got like 6 to 8 episodes to catch up on.
Like I said, I'm pretty far behind on it. I'm still like at the very beginning of season 2.
And didn't you say that you were actually gonna to dive into the world of Bleach? Because I found that there's 3 types of people that grew up with Toonami when growing up.
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
either people
Dragon
fell in
Ball?
love with 4, I guess. People that fell in love with Dragon Ball, people
Yeah.
that fell in love with Naruto, people that fell in love with Bleach, and people that fell in love with fucking One Piece.
Yeah. No, that's
You fell into 2 categories. Wait, did you watch Dragon Ball?
no. I was never a big Dragon Ball person.
I know there's people in our friend group that like Dragon Ball and Naruto.
Yeah.
And then some people just like Dragon Ball. I'm not a huge fan of Dragon Ball. Crucify me if you want. I could never get into it.
See, I don't know what it is. I think again, it's just something you have to grow up with because like I try and go back and watch the older episodes and it's just like it's hard for me to because it's like they I just don't think they were that good. But as a kid, you probably thought that and I kind of feel like the same way with like for me with Naruto. I feel like it might just be like a nostalgia thing for me. The first episodes might not actually be as good as they were.
Yeah, I think that's why I can go back and watch Bleach. It's just because of nostalgia and stuff like that. And it's literally the anime or the cartoons that I grew up with that I can go back and just rewatch. If I didn't, I can't do it.
No, Death Note. Death Note's another one I was growing up and watched, and it is one of my all-time favorite animes.
One of my all-time favorite animes is Ben 10. No, but like I was more of a cartoon kid than I was an anime kid. I mean, I watched Bleach, but that was about the only anime I watched as a kid.
Well, if it tells you anything, I've been going to anime conventions since I was about 11.
Well, yeah.
And
well, it was just because like on Toonami, of course, a lot of that stuff wouldn't start until like midnight to 2 a.m.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't want to watch the shit that came on before, which was King of the Hill, Family Guy, all that stuff.
Yeah, no,
so
I
before
get you.
Toonami started, I wouldn't be that into it.
Well,
so
Toonami
I would switch
used to come on before Adult Swim.
Did it?
Yeah, because it was
I always remember it being after Adult Swim. Because I remember like randomly waking up at 2 a.m., 3 a.m. and seeing fucking Naruto or Bleach on.
You would have
TV.
your shows like Pokemon and Naruto, the cut version of Naruto where it's clean and they don't cuss, and you have and like Beyblade and all that those animes.
See, I always remember.
And then they'd go to Adult Swim and play your King of the Hill and Family Guy, and then after that they would go into your adult anime.
I don't know. I remember like Saturday morning
think
cartoons
so.
like on 4Kids and stuff like that, being Yu-Gi-Oh and all that. And I remember
Did you
Saturday
watch
morning
4Kids TV?
Yeah. I remember Cartoon Network, the morning shift was always Pokemon and Beyblade. I remember that vividly. That Pokemon and Beyblade always came on
I
in
might
the mornings.
be wrong about that. I don't know.
I always remember Toonami being like starting at 1 a.m. and going till like 4 a.m. Then at 5 a.m. they would switch over to like the early morning cartoons.
I just remember watching Naruto though at like 9 p.m. though.
I don't know. I never even I remember waking up to Bleach on Toonami and I got interested and I started watching it on YouTube.
Yeah.
But I remember I woke up at like 2 in the morning and I was watching the intro sequence. I was like, this looks really cool. And then I looked into it.
You know, for the longest, I say the longest, probably about a year or two before I got into Naruto, my friends were really into it. They're like, you should
see. None of my friends were into anime.
I say a lot of my friends. I had 2 friends that were into it.
0.
I
had friends that were into Inuyasha, and that was it.
I know a lot of people that were just into Inuyasha, and I haven't seen Inuyasha.
I've never seen a single thing from Inuyasha.
I've heard it's good, and I'll take their word for it. I just need to sit down and watch it.
I just don't care. That's the big thing for me. Is like I almost never take opinions about anime or like suggestions for what I need to watch. The only time I've ever done that was actually with Nico suggesting My Hero Academia.
I've had a couple people tell me about My Hero, and that's why I watched it.
Well, no, I had seen the artwork online. And I was like, that looks like a cool series to watch. And then when Nico popped up and suggested, I was like, okay, I'll give it a chance. But almost never have I actually watched an anime suggested to me.
Honestly,
I'll just go on like Crunchyroll and I will literally scroll through all the new stuff, and based off of the artwork of the posters or the little thumbnails they give, that's how I kind of discern. Because I have I have a weird taste, not weird taste, but like a distinct taste in animation style that I really like.
Yeah.
So usually I go off the thumbnails of what Crunchyroll has to see if I like the drawing style. And then from there, I discern it down. I have a rule. It's like, if the first episode doesn't have me grasped 5 minutes before or after the intro,
yeah,
I know I'm not going to be into it. And I know the first episode's usually not like the pilot episode. It doesn't even give to it. It doesn't matter to the story or anything like that.
Yeah.
But for me, like, if I'm not drawn in just by the actors' voices, the story of said episode and the animation style, usually I don't play ball with that. So that's usually what I do, is I just base it off the artwork and the animation style.
I just kind of go around, and I don't really search for anime, but if I see,
it's usually like when I'm like, even though I know there's like a list of TV shows and movies I want to watch, when I don't feel like watching TV and movies, I'm like, okay, let's go find a list of anime. And it happens like every 2 to 3 months, like just one weekend, I'll like make a stockpile list of stuff I'm interested in, and then I'll sort through it all. Usually end up with 1 to 2 series that I actually watch, and then I'll just like binge it.
What was I gonna say? I don't know. I guess a lot of it came from like I started out with just liking Naruto, and then cosplayed Naruto for my first convention, and then went to an anime convention, and then that's where all my other
I started with Bleach, and then I got out of anime for a while, and then when I came back, I started watching Death Note, and oh god, what else was it? I don't even remember. I remember having like a small anime phase with Bleach, going away from it, and then coming back, and then like just exploring the world of weeaboo cartoons.
That's kind of been the exact opposite for me, because I had my weeaboo phase. It started with Naruto, but then I learned to love a little bit of everything, and now I barely watch anime that much anymore. But this past summer, I've just relapsed back into anime. But
I've had a relapse.
But I was off the drugs.
Naruto. I was off the drugs, and now I'm back on.
I mean, weeaboo is an addicting thing.
Weeabooism. It's a religion. How do you feel about anime being adapted into movies, live action films?
I
have a very strong opinion about the Japanese culture being animated into live action photography.
I just think it's hard to.
I feel like it's like if you're not having to adapt well, that's the thing, is that they'll never adapt something that isn't mainstream. Which means they're having to adapt 2 to 3 seasons, like a ton of content into an hour to 2 hour film.
Yeah, which I think if they're gonna make a live action movie about it, I'd rather them like take an original story.
Take an original
write an original story with those characters in it,
which is kind of hypocritical.
What do you mean?
When you think of Death Note.
Well,
because that was technically an adaptation. It was.
Well, I say original as in you still have your main characters, and this is just a story that's branched off.
Well, I think that runs into the issues, or it runs into an issue because then you're kind of alienating people that haven't seen the anime.
I don't know, because you still get a feel for how these characters act and stuff.
Well, yeah, but when you add into aspects of fucking chakras and ninjutsu and fucking a book where you write in people's names and they just die, if you just throw people into that world, they're gonna be like, what? What the fuck's going on here? Why is there a fucking dude that looks like a hobgoblin with Willem Dafoe's voice? What's that even mean? And stuff like that. So I think you really run into issues where I understand where you're coming from as an anime fan and loving said animes that have been adapted into live action movies, but you also have to think about the people that haven't watched those animes and are just interested in the movies themselves.
I don't know, because I feel like there have been a lot of movies going back to Naruto, how they do their movies and just branch off and do these side stories instead of trying to.
Those aren't their live action movies, and there aren't live action movies. Those are their animated movies that have a specific place in the series themselves.
But they are never mentioned throughout the series again once these movies happen. They're not even technically
Which is completely fine, but if I went and watched one of those Naruto movies, I would have no fucking clue what would be going on. I would have zero idea of what's going on. So I think that's the main problem with wanting that aspect is the reason you enjoyed those movies is because you had all that backstory leading up to said movies.
I get you.
So you felt for those characters, you loved those characters, you understood what was going on in that universe. But if I jumped into the first Naruto Shippuden movie after only watching half of the original series, I'd be like, how what? Like half this stuff I don't even understand. What are these words that are coming out of these characters' mouths and stuff like that? So I think that you have to find a unique balance in between creating something original and new, but also catching people up to speed of what you're trying to of the overarching story.
No, I completely get where you're coming from. It's just I don't know, like you're saying though, because it's like you can't cram, or it's hard to cram all that content.
Which is the main problem.
Story.
I don't think it's the story themselves and what they're trying to do and like show the origins of that. It's having to cram all of that stuff into a single movie. Yeah. I think if they would show the origins and then make a custom story afterwards, I'd be okay with that. But it's when you just want an original story, that's where it comes a bit.
I completely get what you're saying. But Cowboy Bebop, that's a really good anime. Have you seen that?
I've actually I've seen parts. No, then that's the thing. It's literally it's been in my watch list. I think I've watched what is it? Cowboy Dandy?
Space Dandy.
Yeah, I've seen that one.
And I also love Space Dandy.
And I started watching Cowboy Bebop, and it was one of those things where like I was gonna binge it, but I started binging it at fucking 1 a.m. and I had class the next day. I was like, can't do this. And then the next day I got onto something different, and it's like it interests me. I was completely down for it, but it's one of those things where like my mind's fucking ADHD, and I went on to different pastures.
No, I completely get that. I just love the animation, the older animation style of it.
No, I get that. Like some older animation's kind of rough to get through.
Yeah, but I mean
stuff like that.
Some of it just looks amazing, just that old grain to it.
I don't know. It's also really hard. It's honestly really hard for me to watch anime that's 4x3.
I get that. I get that. Trying to go back and watch the really old Narutos when they're back at 4x3.
I mean, Bleach is that way too. It's just like oh man, I just wish I could see more of the environment. Because it's like because of that 4x3 aspect ratio and stuff like that. Like a lot of the action scenes very like close and personal. Yeah, because it had to be. They didn't have a lot of room in the frame to like or if they drew it like. It was less of they had less horizontal room, and it was I don't know how to explain it. If they wanted something to feel wide, like wide and sweeping, they had to add more to the top and bottom rather than the sides, which always bugged me because you'd have these two little ants of characters.
You're still making things small. You're just making things smaller.
You're making things smaller, but you're not making things wider. And I always hated that because you'd hit these instances of like two characters in a giant plane, and like they'd be the size of ants, and the sky is just like massive compared to them. Yeah. Rather than being closer up on them and more focused on them, it was more focused on the location itself. But what were you saying about Death Note?
I was saying I can't remember. Was Death Note widescreen?
I believe it's widescreen. I think so. I don't remember. Death Note. Yeah.
It's been a minute.
It has been a minute. I actually started to rewatch it after the movie came out, but like
me too. It wasn't one of those things where I would just sit there and watch. It was more like I'd turn it on.
Yeah, you turn it on and just kind of let it play, reminisce of the good times. Even though guys, leave in the comments if you've gotten to this point of the podcast, leave in the comments, should we watch the Netflix original Death Note movie?
I mean,
I think it would be one of our best like movie talks because you hate the film and I like enjoyed it to the not that I love the film, but I enjoyed it to the point where like I can have fun with it. And I feel like that'd be such a grand, like we'd end up having like arguments and stuff like that. Kind of like how we just did with like how anime movies should be and stuff like that. We get into those type of discussions just watching the Death Note film. And I think that would make a really entertaining movie talks.
No, I'm down for it. It sounds fun.
Don't lie to me.
I just want to do the other ones too.
No, they're actually good. I understand. I get it. We'll sign some contracts after this podcast about what all we need to the legal documentation, stuff like that. Oh, did you know that this is actually works out really well because the movie talked of 2 weeks ago, American Werewolf in London. Yeah. I'm trying to think of like the schedule of when podcasts are released and stuff like that. It was actually our first movie talks to be demonetized. well, not demonetized, but like restricted, like limited ads and stuff like that. And I think it's literally for the sole fact that in the title it just says An American Werewolf in London.
And it's a rated R film.
Yeah, it's a rated R film.
That's
which
sad.
is hilarious because in like the Ben 10 ones, Scooby Doo, Lucy's Back in Action, we swear like mad sailors. Like we are not a good Christian channel.
Yeah, we're not. I wouldn't say we're very advertiser friendly.
We're not advertiser friendly, but we've managed to like skate by for the most part. But I think where we're really gonna be hit is literally the titles of the videos.
Yeah.
Because I mean, almost half of our Resident Evil 7 playthrough has gotten limited ads.
Really?
Yeah, it's really weird because only half of those have been hit. So I don't know if it's because Resident Evil 7's in the title or not. We've gotten a couple more series that have been hit, but it's almost never something that I would deem because of the audio that happens. And I know
we do talk about some raunchy shit sometimes.
No, we do, but the thing is I can't tell. Like, I've never run into an instance of the limited ads on YouTube where I know that it's definitely the audio, because it can't be the visuals, because literally on the podcast and movie talks it's just the logo, and stuff like that. So I know that it's not one of those instances of the audio, but literally stuff that's in the thumbnail and the title. Which I know none of the thumbnails have had anything that I have deemed demonetized worthy. Most of the times in movie talks, it's the poster of the film, and then the podcast is just random clip art that I think matches what we're talking about. But yeah, like we've kind of stayed under YouTube's little radar for demonetization. Which, I mean, it's whatever. We don't make money from YouTube anyways.
What is it? What, $60 every 3 months?
Dude, we can't tell them that. It's breaking the YouTube laws.
Is it really?
It used to be. Under the YouTube contract, you couldn't disclose how much you made and stuff like that.
Do we need to bleep this out then? Or?
No. I think we're fine, especially since, like, the big boys, like fucking good old Asian Chew.
Yeah. Who?
Rice Gum.
Oh. Okay.
He, like, a lot of big YouTubers have disclosed, like, at least a kind of amount that they make. They haven't disclosed like the accurate amount and stuff like that. But some of them have shown their like analytics page that literally show how much money they've made. So like that whole, because that's what I was always told.
Yeah.
Like whenever I started YouTube and stuff like that, I was like, you never disclose how much you've made. Because if you do that, you're breaching the code and conduct of YouTube's like contract and stuff like that. But over the years, like more and more people have come out with like their numbers and stuff like that, and it's really weird to me because it's just like that feels like such a private matter. Like finances and accounting and your bank balance is a really private thing in my mind. It's just like I would never share like stuff like that. I don't know. That's kind of like a moral thing in my mind, I guess.
No, I get you.
But yeah, it was the first movie talks that was demonetized, and I'm fairly certain it's just because it was a rated R film. Which, I mean, you know, we talked about sex and slicing people up and stuff like that in that movie talk. I
mean, we've talked
but we've also talked about that stuff in like the other movie talks.
And like Resident Evil when we chop things up and things die.
Well,
I don't know.
It kind of like the line, the line kind of blurs when you go back to the gameplay stuff that's been demonetized.
Yeah,
because that could be literally because of the title of the game. The rating of the game, the visuals of the video, or the audio of the video, and stuff like that. So that's where like it gets harder
to risky business.
Well, not that it's risky. It's just hard to discern what is causing the demonetization. Which apparently, you know, YouTube's little monkeys in their algorithm are slowly getting better at what's bad and what's good. Apparently. I don't know.
You know what's funny?
What?
Whatever happened to YouTube Heroes?
Oh yeah, I think it's still a thing.
Is it a thing? I thought they just kind of like were like, okay.
No, you can still like make moderators for your channels and stuff like that to like go through all the comments and stuff like that.
The thing where I'm talking about the thing where you like mass flag.
Oh, that where you like you help. No,
you, like where they're like.
I don't know if that's still a thing or not, especially with this new like algorithm that's coming. I feel like people abused it. Actually, no, now that I say that, I don't remember any stories coming out of it being abused.
I don't remember it even, like, after they advertised it. I never heard it actually coming out. I guess that's just
how good that is. No, it came out with the announcement. It started with the announcement. Okay. I guess it's just so good, and we just never hear about it because it is just the best decision YouTube's ever made.
I guess so.
Along with making all the channel pages stark white or now gray with dark mode and leaving the channel art to a slim banner. I hated that. Let me tell you, I still miss the days when fucking the YouTube pages were completely customizable to your channel.
Oh, yeah.
Like, you could change everything about them. Yes, I will say it does look like a shitty 90s website, but I feel like they could have updated it to fit these, like, modern aesthetic needs a little more customizable.
Yeah. No, you just have...
Because now you go on YouTube and, like, every channel literally looks the same. Besides their banner and their icon. That's like the only customization you can do. But like everyone's layouts look the exact same and stuff like that.
It just gets boring.
Yeah, you know. Then again, I think that's just because like we have our own YouTube account. We notice the design more than like if we're just random viewers.
Yeah, we're not a bunch of normies.
We're not normies.
We sit above a pedestal between you peasants and us content creators.
Content creators.
That was a joke. I really don't mean that.
He means it full-heartedly.
Stop it.
This YouTube thing's going to his head. He started talking to me about
Why are you making me out to be this bad guy?
'Cause you are the bad guy. But yeah, like YouTube's a weird scape right now. I mean, we've talked to a couple of our friends that have like been moving to other platforms, and like a lot of YouTube gamers and stuff like that have completely jumped ship over to Twitch.
Yeah. Speaking of that, I kind of looked into that other website. Our friend.
Yeah.
A lot of people are already jumping ship on that website.
Like jumping ship from that website or jumping ship to that website?
From that website.
Oh boy. Good time.
Yeah.
That's what I like to hear. Well, because there's no true place for like
other
like gaming content can just switch to Twitch. It's just you have to have the infrastructure for live shows.
Yeah.
And stuff like that. Actually, no, I take that back because you don't even have to do live shows anymore because Twitch has a way for you to upload videos to play while you're offline. You can literally set up an offline queue that plays all your videos in like a sequence.
Oh, that's cool.
So technically you can still do the old upload fashion and just do live shows whenever. But that's mainly for gaming. Of course they have IRL stuff on Twitch now, but that's more
they do more like live podcasts and stuff.
Yeah, they'll do like live podcast, which I kind of want to do one day, just do a live podcast.
It'd be cool, but we'd have to find a place besides our current recording place to do it, I feel like.
I don't know the whole limitations of what we can and can't do with the internet service here.
Yeah.
I don't know if streaming is an option.
Yeah.
I don't know if they would like come after us and be like, "You're using all of our bandwidth.
You're streaming a live show here.
You shouldn't be streaming a live show. Our 100 up, 100 down internet can't handle it."
We got rid of cable for this internet.
We got rid of cable for this internet. Actually, I don't even think it's 100. I think it's 50-50, which is funny because that's what I have, and it's $100 a month.
I don't know what that means.
It's like
I'm not a big internet guy. I'm sorry.
Your internet at your house is like maybe 5 up, 5 down. Basically, 5 up means how fast you can upload images or videos. So, like, say if you were trying to upload a YouTube video, 5 megabits per second means that for every second, you've uploaded 5 megabits of data, which megabits are... There's megabits and megabytes. Megabits are like 1,000 times smaller than a megabyte.
Yeah.
But most internet speeds are measured by megabits. So, like, if you have 5 up, 5 down, that means that whenever you're uploading something, it's going at a rate of 5 megabits per second, which is terrible. And if you have 5 down, that means you can download things at 5 megabits per second, which is terrible. So, the best way to describe it is that 50 up, 50 down would be like downloading a 50 megabyte file in a second.
Yeah.
Or uploading a 50 megabyte file in a second.
Okay.
It's actually like the math. That math is completely wrong, but that helps you understand it more.
No, I completely get it now. Yeah.
But I think the main thing is just like they took away cable and they got this new internet because we live in dorms at our college.
Yeah.
They took away cable access to get better internet. But the great thing that I think is that they don't use the same company that I have for my business internet back at my home, but we have the same speeds. And I'm just wondering how much it's costing them, because ours is $100 a month for a business line.
Yeah.
For the speeds that we get. So does that mean they're only paying $100? Like I don't. And of course they have like more infrastructure and stuff like that they have to do, but that's a lot of just cable runnings and like server racks and stuff like that. So I don't actually know. Like, I feel like there's a great network behind all of this, but I don't feel like there's a great internet connection behind it.
Yeah, no, I get
that. If you don't understand that stuff, I'm so sorry.
I got into
when I got into anime
tech part of the podcast.
Yeah, when I got into anime, I also got into technology, and that was an odd combination. I remember when fucking Bloodborne came out. I, for the longest time, actually was drawing up plans on how to actually recreate the weapons, like the transformation weapons in the game.
Yeah.
Into actual, like, just props and stuff like that. Like, the Blades of Mercy, which are, like, it's a short sword that turns into 2 daggers. I literally, like, looked at images from the game, and I had, like, drawn to scale, like, how big they would need to be. And basically, they were going to be, like 1/4 inch wide blades that had like a magnet string on one side, so they would attach together and stay together and stuff like that. And like there was stuff like the burial blade, which was a long sword that turned into a scythe. That literally
I used to really like prop building too.
Well, it wasn't even that. It's just like I love deconstructing stuff. I love deconstructing stuff to its core components and see like if they're not real, like weapons and stuff like that, how I could make them real. I love that aspect. And I think that's why I got into computers, because I loved like, wow, this is so amazing how like I have this internet browser and like all these parts in this computer are working together to make it where I can visualize stuff on the screen. How does it do that? And then I started learning like how to build computers and how to code and how to use programs and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And it all came at the same time that I was like learning about animation, learning about anime, learning about movies, learning about editing. Like literally,
it all came at the same time.
Fucking 6th grade for me was the time where everything just like hit me in the fucking face. Like when I found the internet, man, oh man, did it change me.
I mean, I have a similar time. I
don't know if you understand how drastic of a change this was. All through elementary school, I was the outdoor kid.
Yeah.
I was outdoors 24/7. I loved hiking. I loved like running outside, playing sports and stuff like that. I was a huge outdoor person. Then the summer between elementary school and middle school, I was allowed to use our old compact Windows XP computer. And that's when I found out about anime. That's when I found out about movies, or how movies are made. That's how I found out about editing and all that stuff. And it literally blew my mind, because I was just like, outside's beautiful, but inside's better. And like it basically changed my whole personality in a sense, or like the whole way that I viewed what I wanted to do.
I know.
If that makes any sense.
Same way for me though. It's just like it was like an old Dell Windows XP computer.
Yeah.
And
I remember having like a fucking compact laptop that had Windows XP. Like that fucking thing was fucking thick boy. You had to have a network card plugged into it to actually get Wi-Fi in it, and it was a grand old time. That thing fucking treated me well. What I used to do is I used to do After Effects work on that laptop and do editing work on the compact computer.
Well, you see, I only made it to Movie Maker.
I made it to Movie Maker, and then I bought a Mac.
I edited, like, I called them AMVs, but when I was like in 5th, 6th grade, I got really into, anime and shit. So I started making like these little quote unquote AMVs, which weren't really
the
like
shit little
video.
flash animations and stuff like that.
I didn't even do that. I
don't even know what just happened there. I don't know if that click actually recorded or if that was the shitty headphone jack that we're using right now.
I don't know, but I just like took like pictures and made slideshows.
Yeah, no.
Put it behind music, and that's how I started.
Yeah, I guess that's where I started on Movie Maker. Then I got my first camera, and me and Mo started making skits together.
Yeah.
And then as it grew, I moved up to gameplay stuff, which I originally started with a program called Camtasia, which also was a screen recording bundled with editing software. And it was like this weird mix between Windows Movie Maker and Premiere.
Yeah.
Like it had all the layers and stuff like that. It had a timeline. Like I would compare the appearance to Premiere, but what you could do as Windows Movie Maker.
Yeah.
So I went from Windows Movie Maker to Camtasia. Then from Camtasia, I went to Premiere. So like I kind of just evolved over time into different editing softwares. And then in high school, I learned Final Cut, which, God, that program is a travesty. And then like I've learned like random editing softwares that like no one really uses, but I was just interested in that stuff. And it kind of goes back to just wanting to learn every single program, deconstructing it to its core essentials, and then seeing what I can do with it.
Yeah. Well,
what?
I was saying, well,
tell me something. Tell me something I don't know. Tell me a fact about life, about you, that I don't know. That's how we'll end this episode of the podcast.
What you didn't know is that I'm actually ending this podcast.
Whoa, wait a second. This is blowing my mind.
So, guys, just remember to like, comment, subscribe, all that fancy jazz, and make sure to get 1,500 million kajillion bazillion.
Can I just go into the legal garb for a second? In the Minds of Tech and Fish is produced by me, Tech, and my associate Fish. If you would like to listen to this podcast, it comes on every Monday at 3 p.m. on YouTube. I'm working currently on trying to find podcast sites that we can upload this to, but my only issue is I don't truly know if we own the copyright for the music and the sound effects that we use in the intro to this. So I'm currently working on that, but hopefully we'll be getting on like Google Play and iTunes soon. I'm working on it so that you don't have to deal with YouTube and stuff like that. But every Monday, 3 p.m., you can join us, Tech and Fish, on In the Minds of Tech and Fish, where we talk about random topics that snowball into other topics.
You heard it here, folks.
Heard it here first, folks. That's the pitch of In the Minds of Tech and Fish.
All right, we'll see you later. Get out of here. Go.
Get out of here. You got stuff to do, don't you?
Leave.
Stop listening to us. Jesus Christ.